Well, there are two documents which act as input for us to create this document. This assumes creating an information systems plan means that you have already understood the role of strategy in that business organization. Remember the discussion in the previous classes that there are 12 strategies an organization can employ to withstand the 5 competitive forces and come out as a winner. What is that strategy which the organization has employed? If it is not there, you have to do all that exercise. Identifying the competitive forces and then see which strategy suits this situation better. Identifying on the strategy, the ways to implement it, all that is assumed. Plus, it is assumed that you have studied the existing infrastructure, the architecture which we had discussed in the earlier class. We are told that there is a clear difference between architecture. The architecture, IT architecture of an institute involves how it has organized its IT resources within the organization and how will it use that infrastructure to interact with other institutions, other stakeholders. All that should be studied. That means in some cases a system may already exist, as in library. In library a system already exists, so it is your duty to study that. Then create a new information system plan which will give us a very clear idea of what you are intending to do. That plan should be as complete as possible in the sense that it should give a clear idea on how you are planning to employ these 5 components, that is software, hardware, people, procedure and the services into this organization to realize this strategy. Because you have already done cost benefit analysis, it should be justified. The outcome of IS plan are basically 3. The first outcome is the old architecture will be replaced by a new architecture based on your plan. Plus a plan for development. How will it be developed? We'll see this in great detail. Plus an operational plan. It is not enough, as I keep saying, to develop a system here that you have done in last semester. You have developed enough things. Here the focus is on how will you put the system to actual work, how will you deploy. This course will not be considered complete unless you put the system to work in the actual situation, in the real world settings, not in the lab. Lab is a controlled environment where you can control everything you want. If the system don't work, you simply put up your hands and say, this is not working, somebody help me. Not so in the real world. These kind of challenges has to be studied by the student and you should know how to tackle them. So ideally, I would require all these things to happen. That you build a new information system plan based on install them, you say what is the architecture required, meaning do you need installation of new machines? Do you need new kind of software to be installed as a prerequisite to run your software? If it is license, how many licenses should be procured? What is the cost? Is it justified there? Do we require a new kind of networking to deploy our solution? All this should be there. And then you should come up with a neat development plan. How do you develop? And how will you put that system to work? This is how you should go. This is the method, the process which should be followed. The IT implementation cycle is very methodical. And we are asking you to follow this in its minutest detail. About this, the development is the key for us as we are more interested in developing the new information system. The development aspect, I think most of you are quite comfortable. It is generally covered under the heading called as SDLC. In software engineering, you call it software development life cycle. Life cycle models, I hope all of you are very familiar with. Here we call it system development life cycle. The idea is same. Nobody should be in a misconception that this kind of life cycle models are only limited to software engineering. No. Life cycle models, in fact, software engineering has borrowed it from traditional engineering domains. All engineering domains have something called as life cycle models, though the terminology used are different. We have just borrowed it from them. I hope there is no need for me to speak much on SDLC, all of you know. But let me assure you that unless and until you have not worked on one project completely, you will not appreciate what is SDLC. Most of you, if I say, tell me the steps involved in SDLC, will clearly tell you now. Start with feasibility, do the requirement analysis, do the design, then do the coding, testing, operation, maintenance, reverse. You will all tell me that. But have you understood what it means? Do you know the meaning of it? It's not simply writing down the words. There's a deep meaning in that. When I say requirement is complete, I mean something. That means that you have now understood what is to be done in problem. See, why is documentation so very important in software engineering? I think this question is answered by your teachers. This is mainly because there is no other way to know what is done in development. Documenting is the only way we can say whether it is done or not. So documents play a very important role. And that is the reason I was insisting in the lab to write requirement specifications, functional, non-functional. Write it down. You have to go through at least 5 to 6 functional and non-functional requirements in various scenarios to understand how to write it. No one when you go out and start working will help you in writing them. Believe me, if you don't write it correctly, you will be blamed later. Because you will be responsible for what you write, what you commit. There are two things in software engineering. One is writing these kind of documents, which is very well taught to all of you. Maybe one thing is not taught to you. That's called SLAs, Service Level Agreements. Have you studied them in your software engineering? Okay, you know requirement document, design document and what they mean. What are they basically? Why do you write requirement document and then the requirement specification document? Requirement document specification is not simply a document which does not have any value. We keep saying that it is a document which has a legal sanction. That is, if you say that is why the language we use in requirement document is this. How do we write a requirement document? Maybe you may have been taught how to write. The requirement document starts like this. The system shall provide the following functionalities to user. What do you mean by service? The language used is very legal. So when you say the system shall, that means that you are promising to deliver. So your client, when he sees that that particular functionality is not delivered to you, he can take you to court. It has happened many times. Along with that comes one more document called as SLAs, Service Level Agreement. Service level agreements are focused on the operations. See, our job does not end just by giving the software. You should say, to what level does the software work? Service level agreements will look like this. It will say that the system shall be available for 99.9% of the time. This is very, very crucial in e-commerce application. Service level agreements. So unless and until you are not very comfortable writing these two documents for the software you are intending to do, your job is not over. The focus in this course is writing all this, not actually coding. That is why I keep on saying that you stop coding for time being. Don't focus on PHP MySQL. You please start focusing on these issues. Write the documents, and maybe if you are not comfortable, have a discussion with your teachers. Then start developing things. The development models also, I hope all of you are comfortable. I am just skipping that part. All the development models. But in information system discussion, the development methods are different. Any business organization, if it has to develop a new information system, it has three straightforward choices. What are the choices? In fact, the most obvious way to develop a software for any business organization is developing it in-house. You have a team, a select professionals who will develop software your company requires. But that is not working these days, because every day, every company will need new kind of software, and to have a specialized set of people in-house to develop the applications required is not easy. Very few companies do that. For example, CTS does that. Cognizant is basically in-house development company. They don't build software for other people. But that is a fading idea. I don't think any company will do that. The most obvious option is that you buy the software, which already exists in the market, off-the-shelf software. The available options are there. Available options are, for example, in ERP there are PeopleSoft, Oracle. I will stop. Gentlemen there, gentlemen here, all of you are sleeping here also. See, if you have problems sitting in the class, please walk out. It greatly irritates me and brings down productivity in the class. How many people can I throw away?